Act, fail, learn, repeat. This is the 4-step action loop that is the engine to power your personal growth. Today we'll break down each of the 4 steps, why it matters, how to succeed in it, and stick around to the end where I will share a secret that will massively accelerate your personal growth. I shouldn't say this, but if you only watch and apply one video of mine, this is the one. Hi, I'm Kevin Mepham, and this is Thrivespan, building a life that thrives in every way, now and as you age. I cannot emphasize enough how essential taking action is to building that thriving life. And I'm going to be emphasizing it all the time. You cannot change, you cannot grow, you cannot even learn without taking action. So let's get started. Let's act. Oh, wait. Don't we need to prepare first? Don't we need to make a plan that gets us from A to Z and study the whole course of that plan and know everything about it for the next 6 months before we take an action? Well, no, you actually don't. In fact, you only need to know 3 little things before you take your first action. The first is, where do you want to grow? Let's say, for an example, you feel really stressed and tired during the day, and you'd like to feel less stressed and less tired. Okay, good choice. Thing number 2, what's a course of action that you could take that might help you grow in that area? Maybe you decide, I'll try getting more sleep. Good choice. And thing number 3, what is the first little action that you could take along that course? Just the first little one. And a rough idea of how you would do that action. Those 3 things, all you need to know before you take your first action. You're going to learn the rest as you go. In fact, the learning is built into the action loop. It comes from the action. And you don't need a plan from A to Z because you don't really know the path that you're going to take. That also is going to come from the action loop. And the learning that you do is going to help you decide what is the next action that you take. You cannot possibly plan this stuff out that far in advance. So just these 3 things, take your first action. Any more preparation than this starts to look an awful lot like an excuse for not taking action. So act. Step 1, act. Why does it matter? Because, as we said, through action is how you change, how you grow, even how you learn. You're a grown-up now. You're not in school anymore. You don't learn in real life from study. You learn from action and from learning from what happens when you act. So that's why action matters. Success at the action step is you took the action you decided to take. Okay? So in our sleep example, let's say that so growth you wanted to fix your stress and your tiredness. Course of action was you decided to focus on your sleep. And the first step you were going to take was, let's say you decided you were going to move your bedtime up from 11:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. Good choice. Keep the first action simple. Keep it small. Don't get too ambitious. Don't do something that you don't have a shot at doing. grease the skids, remove the obstacles, tell anybody that could get in your way not to get in your way, put it on your calendar, whatever you need to do to make it simple. You'll refine all this as you go through the action loop. But right now, you just want to get everything out of the way of just taking the first tiny little action the first time to get the loop started. Okay. One thing we do need to make clear is what is action and what is not action. Okay. Only taking the action that you decided to take, like moving your bedtime from 11:30 p.m. up to 11, only that counts as taking action. Nothing else counts as taking action. Thinking about taking the action is not taking the action. Talking with your friends about taking the action is not taking the action. Studying, reading books about the action, watching videos about the action, hanging out with people who also are thinking of doing the action, is none of that is the action. Only taking the action is taking the action. Everything else is avoiding taking the action. Okay? You only get credit when you take the action. Which brings us to step 2, fail. Why is there a fail step in here? Why would we put a fail step in here? Because it's not that fail matters, it's that fail is inevitable. Failure defined as you don't get the result that you want from your action nearly all of the time. By that definition, the action step will lead to a fail. Let's give some examples of the different ways that you can fail, just so you know what to be prepared for. The first way you can fail is you didn't take the action. So in our sleep example, you went to bed at 11:30 p.m. as usual. No change whatsoever. Okay? Some obstacle got in your way. Second way you could fail is you did the thing, you took the action, but you could have done it better. So maybe you only moved your bedtime up to 11:15 p.m. You didn't make it to the 11 like you said you were going to. Okay. Third way you could fail is you did the action and you did it well enough, but you didn't really get much in the way of results from it. So you did move your bedtime up to 11. You did get more sleep, but man, you have such a sleep deficit this deep into your life that one night of 30 minutes more sleep is not really going to put a dent in that. So you're going to have to do it more. So really, it's a fail in terms of you did not get the result you wanted from the action that you just took. Okay. Fourth way you could fail is you took the action, you took it well enough, you did it often enough, you got the results that you could get from that action, but they didn't get you to all of the growth that you wanted. You're going to need to pick a different action now to go forward with. You've got taken this one as far as you can. So maybe getting you that extra half an hour of sleep opportunity wasn't enough, and you're going to need to get more sleep during that half an hour. You're going to need to get to sleep more quickly. Maybe you'll decide that your next action is to take the electronics out of the bedroom. By the way, this is foreshadowing because next video is going to be all about things you can do to get better sleep. Okay? And the last way that you could fail is, you took the action, you took it well, you did it enough times, and you got nothing out of it. And that is what we call a failed experiment. It's a dead end. So no progress other than you learned that this is a thing that doesn't get you what you want. And again, you're going to need to pick a different action to move forward. Okay? But those are all different ways that you can fail. What is success at the fail step? It sounds like an oxymoron, success at the fail step. Success at the fail step is don't let your fear of failure stop you from taking the action. And the reason we're probably spending more time on this step that you don't even think should be here, the fail step, than any other step is because this is where it all goes off the rails more than anything else. It either we never take an action in the first place because we fear failure, or we take the action and we fail and it just derails us and we don't take another action. We never go back through the loop again. So this is so important to crack this that I'm going to take a few more minutes on this step just to reality check some of those fears of failure. The first one is fearing being really bad at something, which whenever you take something new to do, you will be, okay? You're a beginner, you're gonna suck. In the last 18 years, I have sucked as a beginner at so many things. Triathlon, dancing, dating, musical theater, weightlifting, improv, the Highland bagpipes, and now YouTube. So from my experience as somebody that has sucked as a beginner so many times now, embrace the suck. It is just part of the process. Go through this process enough times and it'll be like an old friend. Every time you start something new and you're bad at it, you go, I know this part and I know that I'll get past it. And the only way to get past it and to get good is to start out being bad and going through the action loop, which is how you get good. And the other thing is, as you start to get a little better, focus on what you've gained compared to where you started, not how far you are from where you think you want to be, or how far you are from the really, really good people that are doing this thing that hopefully you're starting to surround yourself with. They have been bad at it too. You just didn't see that part. Okay? So that is the fear of being really bad, reality check. Second fear is the fear of seeing others, of having others see you being bad at the thing. And here we'll change the example up from sleep to something that's a little bit more visible, which is showing up to the gym for the first time to do strength training. Oh, or do you feel like everybody can see you? You don't know what the machines do. You don't know how to put a workout together. You didn't even dress right, and you don't know proper form, and you're doing little things with little weights, and you don't know the etiquette. Can't everybody see? Oh, I can't bear this. Everybody knowing what a noob I am. Yeah. So, 2 things to help get over that fear. First, most of us, if we are people like, who most of the rest of the gym goers who've been there maybe a little bit longer than you have, maybe a lot more, we're all too focused on just getting through our own damn workouts. It's hard. We are just trying to get through that next set. We don't notice you. Just like you probably don't notice us. This is a good general rule going through life. Just be aware that you are only the center of your own universe. You are some distant galaxy at best in everyone else's, including your mom's. She's the center of her universe, not you. You're definitely not the center I'm the center of my universe. So most of the time, your noob flailing won't even be noticed. It's okay. If we do notice you, we're not going to look down on you. I salute you. I respect you. Mad props to you for showing up. Not knowing what you're doing, for showing up. Huge respect, because I remember I felt the same way that you did. Also, it's a wonderful feeling to see new people come into something that those of us who are already in this feel passionate about. And we're excited to have you join the community. So don't be held back by a fear of other people seeing you be a beginner. Because that's not how we see you. And the last one is fear of feeling like a failure. Okay. And all I can say here, and it's not going to be enough to overcome a lifetime of conditioning if you have been conditioned to feel like a failure. That's going to take more than I can do right here. But I can just tell you factually that all you need to do to be a success at the action loop is complete the loop. That's all. A fail is not a failure if you complete the loop. If you learn and repeat and take a new action based on your learning, then you are a success, regardless of what your inevitable fail was. That's all. Okay? Failing isn't failure. It's an essential part of the process. Okay, on to step 3, learn. Why does it matter? Learn is how you take the fail and turn it into a success. Learn is how you figure out a better action to take next time, which is, when you take it, how you grow. So, success, therefore, at the learn step is identify a better action to take next time. How do you go about doing this? Well, learn is a 2-step process. Reflect and adapt. And I recommend that you do this, what I'm about to describe, on a daily basis at the end of the day or the beginning of the next day for every action that you're taking. What you're going to do is you're going to ask yourself in the reflect step, reflecting, what worked? Don't skip this part. Don't jump straight to what didn't work. What worked? Celebrate your successes, reinforce them, lean into them, build on them. And the way you're going to do that is by acknowledging what worked. So, hey, maybe I didn't get to bed by 11, but I got to bed by 11:15. I got 15 minutes more sleep. That worked. At the same time, what didn't work? Well, I didn't roll my bedtime all the way back to 11, and that was because I lost track of time and I underestimated how long my bedtime routine was. So, okay, that didn't work, and that's why it didn't work. That's the reflect part. And then the adapt part is, now how am I going to adapt my action the next time based on what I've learned, based on what worked and what didn't work. Okay, so I'm going to adapt my trying to get to bed by 11 instead of 11:30 action by setting an alarm. Well, first by figuring out how long my bedtime routine is. Maybe it's half an hour. And then giving myself a little bit of advance notice. So if I want to get to bed by 11 and it's a half an hour bedtime routine, then maybe I set my nightly alarm for 10:20 to just say, hey, in 10 minutes, you got to start winding down. You got to start going through that routine, as an example, which, by the way, is something that I do because I've had both those issues, losing track of time and having a bedtime routine that took too long. So that's the adapt step. And coming out of this, you notice what I've got now is I have my action, the way I'm going to take my action in the next spin through the loop. Now, note for extra success, Don't do this in your head. Don't just think about what worked, what didn't work, what am I going to do differently next time. Write it down. This is why you have a journal. One of the reasons, for me, one of the fundamental reasons why you have a journal is to do this learn step, this reflection action is an adapt action. Is your thoughts will become much more complete and crystallized when you actually have to put them down as complete sentences. And in putting them down in writing, I don't know about you, but for me, it's just more of a commitment. The act of writing down, this is the action I'm going to take tomorrow, based on what I learned from the action that didn't quite work today. Writing that down is just a little bit more of a commitment. If I couldn't be bothered to put it on paper, if it was okay just being a nebulous idea in my head, then it's really not that important and I'm probably not going to do it. So write it down. And that brings me to action number 4, or probably step number 4, repeat. So we've identified the next action, which implies that we're going to loop back around to the action step again and start the whole loop over again. So why do we even need a step called repeat? Duh, we just learned, we picked an action, we're going to go do it again. Because repeat is where the magic happens. So growth is learning put into action. And that is that action loop being repeated. That the success for that is putting in the reps. And so the reason I have a repeat in here as its own step is to emphasize how important it is to put the reps in. I mean, you may have heard 10,000 hours to master this or that. It's not about the hours, really. It's about the reps. It's about quality reps, which mean going through all the steps in the action loop. The act step, the inevitable fail step, the learn step, and then the cycling back through and applying that to the action again in the next loop. That is how we grow, through those reps. Now, in her wonderful book, Tiny Experiments, Laura LeCunff, recommends that you commit to reps by doing what she calls a pact, by making a pact with yourself. Pact is a very simple little 2-part statement. I will fill in blank with an action for fill in blank with duration. I will go to bed at 11 p.m. for a week. And that's long, whatever period is long enough for you to see what you get from that and to figure out how to do it. Highly recommend that. Reps are how you grow. And that brings us to the growth accelerator. If more reps equals more growth, faster reps equals faster growth. And that is why I recommend daily journaling of the learn step. It's because that establishes a daily cadence of I'm going to go through a loop every day. Now, compare this to everybody's favorite method of personal growth, the New Year's resolution, which by definition is 1 loop per year. So if you got 1% better every time you did a rep, your New Year's resolution would get you 1% better by the end of the year. Compare that to a rep a day, 365 reps, 365 times, 1% growth, and then a 1% growth on top of that, already grown by 1%, that compounding effect. By the end of the year, you're not 1% better, you're 3,600% better. That is accelerated growth. That is the engine to building a thriving life. So let's wrap this up. 4 steps: act, fail, learn, repeat. Very little advanced preparation here. Just what do you want to grow? What's a course of action that could get you there? What is the very first action? Then act. Step 1, act. Why does it matter? Because action is how we change, how we grow, even how we learn. How to succeed at the action step: take the action. Step 2, fail. Why does it matter? It's not as much as it matters as that it is inevitable. We will fail in terms of we will not see results that equal what we wanted nearly all of the time. What is success at the fail step? Don't let the fear of failure stop you from taking the action. Step 3, learn. Why does it matter? Because a fail isn't a failure if you learn from it. And success at the learn step is identifying a better action to take next time. And that brings us to step 4, repeat. Why does it matter? Because the reps are how you take the learning and turn them into the action next time, the better action, which leads to the growth. And I recommend daily loops through this. So daily action, daily learn, daily repeat, so that you can accelerate the entire process and get to the thriving life that you want as quickly as you possibly can. This has worked for me incredibly well. And I know it will for you if you start putting yourself through this action loop. And if you don't let fear of failure get in your way and you get a daily cadence going on it. So, call to action, very appropriate since this is all about action. You knew this was coming. Call to action. Go through this exercise. Pick something to improve. Pick a course of action for how you would grow in it. Pick the first tiny action. Make a pact with yourself to do that tiny action for a week. And then come back. Tell us how it went in the comments. I look forward to seeing what you are capable of. And I look forward to hearing your stories of being a beginner and seeing how far you grow from these initial beginner steps, because you will with this action loop. See you on the next one.